What if your body has been sending you warning signs for years and you've been ignoring them every single day? What if that stubborn fatigue, that belly fat you just can't lose, or even your constant thirst are actually signs that you're pre-diabetic? And here's the twist. Most people don't even know they're on the edge until it's already too late. So how do you really know if your body is already in danger? And more importantly, can you still reverse it? The answer is yes. And in the next few minutes, you're going to see exactly how. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I promise it might just help you take back control over your health, one smart choice at a time. Let's start with something most people never associate with pre-diabetes: your eyes. Ever feel like your vision is getting blurrier even though your glasses haven't changed? That hazy sight, especially after meals, isn't just about getting older. Elevated blood sugar affects the tiny blood vessels in your eyes long before any diagnosis is made. What's even more surprising is that this damage begins silently. The same excess sugar that's floating around your bloodstream starts to stiffen or narrow those tiny vessels, especially in the retina. It's called diabetic retinopathy when it gets worse. But before it ever becomes that, you might notice changes like eye strain, headaches, or difficulty focusing. It's subtle, but incredibly telling. Then there's the frequent urge to pee. It's annoying, sure, but here's what's happening beneath the surface. When your blood sugar is consistently high, your kidneys work overtime to filter and eliminate that sugar through your urine. That's why pre-diabetics often find themselves running to the bathroom more than usual. But guess what else? This also pulls more water out of your body, which is why dehydration becomes a sneaky partner in crime. You feel tired, sluggish, maybe even dizzy, and you chalk it up to stress or poor sleep. But your body's been trying to flush out a warning. And let's talk about thirst. Not just your typical "I need a drink of water" kind of thirst. This is a persistent, unquenchable dryness that seems to follow you all day long. If your mouth often feels dry and your water bottle never leaves your side, your body is speaking to you loud and clear. It's telling you that sugar has disrupted the normal balance. Think about it. If your kidneys are forcing you to eliminate more fluid, your cells are screaming for hydration, and that dehydration only makes insulin resistance worse. A vicious cycle. But here's something most people miss completely. Are you noticing more infections lately? Maybe it's a minor yeast infection or a skin irritation that doesn't heal as quickly. Elevated blood sugar is a playground for bacteria and fungi. It compromises your immune response, slowing down healing, and making it harder for your body to recover from even the most basic wounds. Have you cut yourself recently and watched it take weeks to heal? That's not normal. It's a huge red flag. Now, let me ask you this. Have you been gaining weight mostly around your belly, even though your diet hasn't really changed that much? This is one of the most telling signs of insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is the direct path to prediabetes. Why belly fat specifically? Because that's where your body stores excess glucose when it can't push it into your muscles anymore. The insulin, which should be helping move sugar into cells, is no longer working efficiently. Your pancreas produces more and more of it to compensate, and eventually it can't keep up. And that's when prediabetes becomes full-blown type 2 diabetes. But before that happens, the belly grows, slowly, steadily, and dangerously. Now here's something many men overlook: changes in sexual health. It's not a comfortable topic, but it's one of the earliest signs that blood sugar is damaging circulation. Erectile dysfunction isn't just about testosterone. It's often a vascular problem. The same way excess sugar affects the tiny blood vessels in your eyes, it also narrows and stiffens the arteries responsible for blood flow during intimacy. If you're experiencing changes in performance, don't brush it off. Your body is waving a giant red flag. And then there's fatigue. Not the kind of tired that a cup of coffee can fix, but that dragging, bone-deep exhaustion that makes even small tasks feel like a mountain. This isn't laziness. It's your cells being starved of energy. See, when your cells become resistant to insulin, they don't absorb glucose properly. So even though your blood is full of sugar, your muscles and brain are essentially running on empty. That's why you feel foggy, forgetful, slow, and unmotivated. It's not in your head, it's in your blood. Speaking of your brain, have you been forgetting things more often? Misplacing your keys, missing appointments, or struggling to focus? Cognitive changes are increasingly being linked to blood sugar dysregulation. In fact, some researchers now call Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes, because of how strongly it correlates with insulin resistance in the brain. So when we talk about pre-diabetes, we're not just talking about blood sugar, we're talking about your entire future. So now, the big question: how do you know for sure if you're pre-diabetic? And more importantly, how do you stop it before it spirals into something worse? The most obvious clue is in your blood work. A fasting blood sugar between 100 and 125 mg/dL puts you squarely in pre-diabetic territory. But here's what most doctors don't tell you. By the time your fasting glucose gets that high, insulin resistance has already been brewing for years. That's why checking your insulin levels and something called HOMA-IR can give you earlier warnings. If you're insulin resistant, you're on that path, even if your glucose still looks normal. And then there's hemoglobin A1C. This marker reflects your average blood sugar over the last 3 months. A result between 5.7 and 6.4% is considered pre-diabetic. But again, even if you're at 5.5%, you should already be thinking about making changes. Why? Because A1C isn't perfect. It can miss the daily spikes and crashes that cause damage long before the average catches up. But here's where things get hopeful, because now that you know the signs, you can do something about them. And the first step? Cut back on sugar. Not just table sugar, but hidden sugars in processed foods, sauces, cereals, and even healthy snacks. Sugar drives insulin resistance, fuels belly fat, and ages your blood vessels. It is not your friend. The second step is movement. I'm not talking about hours in the gym. Even a 10-minute walk after meals can dramatically improve blood sugar control. It helps your muscles pull in that glucose without needing as much insulin. That's powerful. Next, look at your sleep. Poor sleep increases cortisol, which raises blood sugar, increases hunger, and reduces insulin sensitivity. Aim for at least 7 hours. And if you're constantly waking up in the night, it could be your body's way of telling you your glucose is crashing or spiking. Fix your sleep, fix your sugar. Finally, real food. Focus on fiber, protein, and healthy fats. Leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, nuts, seeds, eggs, fish. These aren't trendy diets. They're foundational to stabilizing blood sugar and reversing the signs of pre-diabetes. Every time you eat, you're sending your body a message. And that message can either be, let's heal, or let's harm. And maybe now you're realizing those small signs you brushed off, they've been whispering the truth all along. You've got the power to stop this train before it derails. You can shift the direction of your health starting today, but you have to listen. Your body is talking. It's time to respond. Sometimes, all that stands between you and the health you desire is a decision. And no, we're not talking about extreme diets, expensive medications, or surgeries. We're talking about a natural and proven solution that has already transformed the routines of thousands of people, restoring well-being, energy, and tranquility. It's accessible, it works, and it's in the pinned comment. But it only works for those who take action. Are you going to continue suffering, or are you going to click and change that today? And since you're still here, I know something about you. You're not just curious. You care. You care enough to find answers, to question what's going on with your body, and most of all, to take action before it's too late. And that's exactly what we're going to keep doing. So let's go deeper into the 9 signs that you may already be pre-diabetic. Signs that can show up on your body, your energy, and even your mind. These aren't just random symptoms. They're part of a puzzle your body is building in plain sight. And if you've been feeling like something's off, it probably is. Let's start with something that might seem small, but speaks volumes. Dark patches of skin, especially around your neck, armpits, or groin. It's called acanthosis nigricans. And while most people assume it's just pigmentation or friction from clothes, it's often a major signal of insulin resistance. These patches appear because elevated insulin levels stimulate skin cells in unusual ways. They thicken, they darken, they itch. They're uncomfortable. But more than anything, they're your body screaming, something's wrong with your metabolism. Now let's talk about hunger. Not just the kind that comes before lunch, but constant nagging hunger, even after you eat. If you've ever felt like you could finish a whole meal and still head to the fridge 20 minutes later, your blood sugar is probably the reason. Here's what happens. When you're insulin resistant, your body struggles to push sugar into the cells. So even though there's sugar in your blood, your cells are starving. They're not getting the fuel. So your brain says, We need food, again and again. You eat more, you gain more fat, and the cycle continues until you break it. Ever get tingling in your hands or feet? Maybe it's occasional, maybe it's becoming more frequent. This one is scary because it's a sign of nerve damage called peripheral neuropathy. And yes, it's often associated with diabetes, but it doesn't wait until you're fully diabetic. Chronically elevated blood sugar, even at pre-diabetic levels, begins damaging the nerves slowly. First, it's tingling, then numbness, then sharp pain. Imagine living your life with a constant burning sensation in your feet. For many, this becomes permanent, but caught early, it's reversible. Let's shift to something that can affect your self-esteem just as much as your health: skin issues. Have you noticed more acne lately? Skin tags, maybe even boils or bacterial infections? All of these can be tied to blood sugar. Insulin is a growth hormone. It doesn't just move sugar, it stimulates growth in all kinds of tissues, including the skin. That's why people with high insulin often develop skin tags. Acne worsens because insulin increases sebum production and inflammation. You might be treating it on the surface with creams and ointments, but underneath, the true culprit is your sugar regulation. But what about mood? Have you felt irritable lately? Like even small things set you off? Or maybe you feel anxious, overwhelmed, or like you just don't have the patience you used to? This isn't just life. Blood sugar fluctuations directly impact mood-regulating neurotransmitters. Every time your sugar spikes, you feel temporarily high with energy, and then you crash. That crash triggers irritability, sadness, anxiety. You might even feel depressed without understanding why. In men, this can also impact testosterone, which further affects energy, motivation, and even libido. And yes, we need to talk about libido too, because a sudden or gradual loss of interest in intimacy is another overlooked sign of blood sugar imbalance. When insulin resistance interferes with blood flow and hormone production, testosterone levels can drop, blood circulation is impaired, and your interest just isn't there anymore. And if you're a man experiencing erectile dysfunction and you're under 50, this is a major warning sign. Studies have shown that ED can be an early predictor of insulin resistance and future cardiovascular disease. This isn't just about relationships. It's about what your body is telling you at the deepest level. Here's another one that many people are surprised by: poor sleep. If you're tossing and turning at night, waking up multiple times, or feeling unrefreshed in the morning, your blood sugar might be the culprit. High blood sugar increases cortisol, your stress hormone, which interferes with deep sleep. And when your sugar drops too low in the middle of the night, your body goes into panic mode. Your adrenaline spikes to bring sugar back up, and boom, you're wide awake at 2 a.m. Fix your blood sugar and sleep follows. And lastly, perhaps the most subtle, yet one of the most critical signs: a shift in how your body handles stress. You may have noticed that things that used to feel manageable now feel overwhelming, that your patience is thinner, that your resilience is lower. High blood sugar and insulin resistance affect your adrenal function, your cortisol rhythm, and your brain's ability to regulate stress. Over time, this can lead to full-blown burnout, fatigue, and a chronic sense of being stuck in survival mode. But here's the best part of all this: once you see the signs, you can stop them from progressing. This is your opportunity to turn back time. Not in theory, but biologically. Your body is waiting for your decision. So here's how we bring it all together. First, take a brutally honest inventory. How many of these signs apply to you? Vision changes, fatigue, belly fat, skin tags, infections, poor sleep, hunger, mood swings. Each of them is a puzzle piece. If you see even 2 or 3 regularly, it's time to take your health seriously. This is not about panic, it's about prevention. Second, get tested. Ask your doctor for fasting glucose, insulin, hemoglobin, A1C, and if possible, HOMA-IR. These will give you a much clearer picture than a single fasting glucose number. Third, and this is where change really begins, rethink your plate. Every meal is an opportunity to heal. Prioritize protein. Add healthy fats. Fill your plate with fiber from real, colorful, unprocessed plants. Eliminate added sugars. Cut back on refined carbohydrates. Don't just eat less, eat smarter. Fourth, move your body. Movement is not punishment. It's permission. A simple 15-minute walk after dinner can drop your blood sugar dramatically. Resistance training helps your muscles soak up glucose like a sponge, and the more muscle you have, the better your insulin sensitivity becomes. Fifth, stress management isn't a luxury. It's non-negotiable. Breath work, meditation, quiet time, nature walks, they lower cortisol, balance blood sugar, and bring your body back into healing mode. And finally, believe in your body's ability to bounce back. Because here's the truth. Pre-diabetes doesn't have to become diabetes. Insulin resistance doesn't have to become a lifetime sentence. Your body is asking for help. When you listen and respond, it begins to heal. You've just taken the first step. You've armed yourself with awareness. Now take the next one. Start small. Be consistent. Don't aim for perfect. Aim for better, because the smallest shifts in the right direction will create momentum, and momentum will carry you toward the kind of health that not only looks good, but feels unshakably strong. And if this helped you see your health in a new light, then the next video on screen will take you even further. Tap to watch it now, and keep this journey going.